Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. This week we have two new videos, or last week, two new videos of police abusing citizens. The murder of Walter Scott in South Carolina, and the beating of an unresisting man by sheriff's deputies in San Bernardino. Since nowadays people have cell phone cameras, more and more of this stuff is coming to light. And what we're beginning to learn, or what we should be learning, is that the complaints that minority communities had about police, that they've had for years, are not to be dismissed. Up until now, they were just dismissed out of hand. If what the police said was believed, and what the people in the community said was disregarded. And it was rare that the police, who are charged with investigating themselves, ever found anything against a fellow officer. Mostly because they didn't even properly investigate the case. But I think it's time to face the fact that those complaints, that what we're seeing on those cameras is something that has been going on for years. To face the fact that this is not a few bad apples. This is not isolated incidents. What it is a huge problem nationwide with law enforcement. And to even bolster that, we have the racist emails that have come out in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and in other police departments. They get circulated. It's time to just face the fact that this is business as usual for the police departments. The problem isn't that we have a few rogue cops. The problem is the entire culture of our police departments, from one end of this country to the other. And it extends from the top leadership all the way down to the patrolman on the street. And what's needed is to tear the whole thing down and start over. It begins with the screening process. Obviously, they're not screening out the bullies and the racists and the psychopaths. As a matter of fact, the only people who are getting screened out are the best applicants. Police departments routinely turn down the applicants who score the highest on intelligence tests. Then there is the training. And obviously, there's a lot wrong with that. The police are not being trained to defuse situations. For example, one of the basics in dealing with people with mental illness is to stay calm and to speak softly. And police, when dealing with these people, consistently take the opposite tack when dealing with the mentally ill, which means that they're constantly escalating situations unnecessarily. And then there is the culture of the thin blue line. No matter how badly a cop fucks up, all the other cops fall in line and back him up. Take the case in San Bernardino. There were 10 sheriff's deputies on the scene. 10 of them. And they all took turns beating the suspect. Nobody tried to stop it. Nobody tried to help the guy or protect the guy. Every single sheriff's deputy on the scene took turns beating him. And a spokesman for the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department said, well, there was all this adrenaline, and that was the problem. Well, a lot of those deputies showed up several minutes into the beating. And the beating continued for long after any adrenaline rush would have happened. They would beat him. Some of the deputies would go rest while others would beat him. So no, it wasn't any adrenaline rush. But that whole thing about a rogue cop or an individual, hey, every single one of the cops was beating on the guy. And every single deputy, if the case had not been caught on video, every single deputy on the scene would have lied about it and said that the guy was resisting arrest. And I will guarantee you that for most of those deputies, the discipline will be light, and I doubt if anybody will be fired, which is exactly what should happen. So here's what must be done. In addition to completely revamping how police are recruited, screened, and trained, all complaints must be investigated by an outside agency. And when abusive officers are brought to light, the entire department must be investigated to find out how many cops knew about what he was doing and covered it up. And every cop involved in that should be fired. And when the community complains about the department, the assumption should be that those complaints are valid. And the department has to be investigated from top to bottom, and it's up to them to prove their innocence. We can't pretend anymore. Our law enforcement agencies are completely out of control. They are preying on the communities that they're sworn to serve and are as big a threat as any gang. Thanks for listening.